Why is the United States constantly engaged in like 5 simultaneous wars at a time? Why does the military budget increase every year even though we spend more on the military than the next 11 countries combined? It's because in the United States, war is a business. Just like healthcare, housing, or education, in the United States, war is a private industry that people can profit off of. The top 5 weapons manufacturers in the world are all American companies, with a combined market capitalization of $376 billion. The US is the world's largest arms exporter, selling weapons to 96 governments, including this one. And acquiring these big government contracts is one of the most lucrative practices for these companies. And how do they acquire these contracts? Through bribery. The military-industrial complex consistently donates tens of millions of dollars to Congress every year. In return for these donations, Congress increases the funding for these Pentagon contracts. The ranking members of key congressional committees like the Appropriations Committee are especially bought off because they're in charge of these allocations. On top of that, look at how many defense secretaries worked at these private companies right before taking office. The current defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, was on the board of Raytheon. Mark Esper was the vice president of government relations at Raytheon. Patrick Shanahan worked at Boeing for over 30 years and ended up on the executive council before working for the Pentagon. Jim Mattis made $900,000 at General Dynamics before he worked at the DoD. A lot of these people will also rejoin the weapons industry after they leave office. Possibly the worst example of this is Dick Cheney, who, as defense secretary in 1992, paid a private military contractor, Halliburton, $9 million to write a report about why the military should outsource more of its work to private military contractors, and then promptly awarded a military contract to Halliburton, only to then leave office and become CEO of Halliburton. After making a fortune at Halliburton, Cheney became vice president and pushed the country into a series of wars, which relied heavily on no-bid contracts awarded to, you guessed it, Halliburton. The politicians and generals aren't going to come to their senses and realize the wars are bad. They're getting rich off of them. The only way to end war is to build an anti-war movement so massive and powerful that anyone who advocates for more war will face the wrath of the people.